American luxury and European luxury SUVs are quite different, especially when it comes to sheer size. We can tell that by comparing this 2021 Cadillac Escalade Platinum to some of its competitors. This thing is absolutely enormous, and in terms of length, the regular Cadillac Escalade is 211.9 inches long. The ESV version, the extended wheelbase, is 226.9 inches. That is nearly 19 feet. If we look at some of the rivals, an Audi Q7 isn't even 200 inches long, a BMW X7 is 203, a Mercedes GLS is 205, a Range Rover SVA, the autobiography, is just under 205 inches. A Rolls-Royce Cullinan is 210 inches long. That means this regular length version of the Escalade is longer than a Rolls-Royce Cullinan. The extended wheelbase version of the Escalade is over a foot longer than the Rolls-Royce. The only thing that can come close to the sheer length size of this Escalade is the other American rival, the Lincoln Navigator, which is just around 210 inches, which really does show American SUVs are just absolutely catastrophically enormous. But size is not the best thing about this Escalade. The technology that this refreshed SUV brings really blew me away and is definitely the most impressive thing. We're going to talk about that today when we hop in the vehicle. There are now two powertrains available for this new Escalade. This one still has a 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8 making 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. There is also a 3-liter Duramax turbo diesel that makes 277 horsepower and the same 460 pound-feet of torque. Both are paired with a 10-speed automatic transmission, available 4-wheel drive, adaptive air suspension with magnetic ride dampers, and this Cadillac Escalade has finally gone to independent rear suspension. In terms of exterior styling, I think this new Escalade looks better in person than in pictures. When you have something of this sheer size and magnitude, the angle at which you look at it really does affect what it looks like, and this thing makes me look short at 6'3". I feel like most people are going to be looking up at the giant front badge, just the size of your face. This thing is truly a different scale. It's enormous. It makes everything else on the road look tiny, pretty much. You cannot ignore this even if you tried. It has some of the Cadillac signature styling with the vertical daytime running lights that cut through the bodywork. We also have these really cool little touches. We have the Cadillac script inside the headlight there, little Cadillac crest logos hidden all over the place in the taillights. It's really cool. This one is the luxury version of the Platinum, so you have this chromed out front grille and all the other chrome trim here. There is the sport version, and that takes everything and blacks it out. You have a black mesh grille. All of this stuff around the front end becomes blacked out, riding on 22-inch wheels. But the biggest thing is you just can't ignore the sheer size of the Escalade. It is dominating on the road. It is enormous, and I can't even imagine the fact that there's a longer wheelbase version of this. Now let's hop on the inside, talk about the interior, because that's where the truly impressive things begin. In the Escalade now on the road, and the first thing we will talk about is the sound system. It is the AKG Studio Reference system, the top tier one in this Platinum, with 36 speakers. 36. AKG, I think, is new to the auto industry. They're under the Harman Group, and they're more so known for their studio headphones and microphones. But the clarity of this sound system is unbelievable. I love it. I will not pretend to be an audiophile by any stretch, but I can appreciate a very nice sound system. Before this, some of my top, most favorite ones I've experienced was the upgraded Burmeister in the S-Class, the top-tier Meridian in the Range Rover autobiographies, and then the Bowers & Wilkins and a Volvo XC90 Inscription. But this is right up there. We have speakers in the headrest, speakers everywhere, and it's not overwhelming. It's the clarity is so awesome. I've been playing music and I just cruise along in comfort with this half smile on my face. In terms of materials, the Escalade really did step it up. We have semi-aniline leather covering all these surfaces. I'm no leather expert either, but I think that's like the more tough, really fancy, high-end leather, but it's very nicely done, nice stitching. One of the most interesting usages of materials I've noticed on this interior is we have this like cloth-like finish that's got a sort of rough texture on the doors here, on the center console here, on the glove box over there, and I actually really like it because it's really replacing where conventionally you'd see maybe some sort of soft touch plastic or something, and it's definitely a lot more unique and feels for sure more premium than plastic. Where you got some things that let you down a little bit on the interior are some shared buttons and controls with the rest of the GM family. That's what happens when you have to pull from the parts bin for certain things. I think this rotary trunk opening limiting dial thing is exactly the same as the one that was in the Chevy Blazer I was driving. This transmission selector here is exactly the same as the Cadillac CT5, which is probably half the price of this Escalade, but everything else is very, very nice. The fit and finish feels great here. A lot of nice leather and trim. And then the next big thing we need to talk about, the highlight, the pinnacle feature of the new Escalade, the OLED infotainment screens. 38 inches of combined diagonal displayed right in front of you. The left and the right are touchscreens. The center is crystal clear. The blacks are deep blacks. And this infotainment system itself is very well done. It's very intuitive. The UI is easy to use. The icons are huge, clear. You know exactly what you need to do. Swiping and clicking and everything is so easy and so friendly. But just the wow factor. The fact that it's slightly curved, it's well integrated, it was thought out. This is trimmed in leather and has stitching onto it. It's not like somebody just forgot their tablet and just stuck it to the dash with super glue or something. OLED is cool. OLED, you know, that's on TVs, on phone screens, and things like that. Implementation in the car is very, very nice, and this is next level. Some of my favorite things, the little touchscreen on the left. You can control your center gauge, whether it's showing your gauge or it's showing the augmented reality camera or your map or night vision. This one has the night vision equipped. The right side of the menu goes to the heads-up display, changing brightness, height, things like that. The left side has your trip computer, which is currently telling me that I've been averaging 11 miles per gallon. That's not good. Anyways, AR camera is very cool. So when you click that, the entire center of the dash starts your augmented reality, and you get a camera feed of what you see in front of you. And that's normal until you turn on navigation. It'll pop up these giant blue arrows for when you're supposed to turn. It pops up little icons so you know which lane. You know, sometimes you're on like a 6-lane road and like 2 are for merging and 2 are for turning and 2 are for going straight. You're like, I don't know which one. There's 3 exits coming up. Well, this would tell you which lane to be in. It has a little icon for when you arrive at your locations, that little red, like your typical Google Maps navigation arrival point. That is very cool. At night, the experience is even more awe-inspiring. I spent some time driving this around. I finished work. It was super late. I think it was like 10 o'clock. I left the office, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go drive around. I had my heated seats going, my massage seats going, my heated steering wheel, crystal clear music playing, and I was playing with all the technology, and I just had this smile on my face. I was like, wow, they really did step it up. I will say, without a doubt, the sound system in this thing, it just had a little pedestrian alert thing too, because somebody was walking on the side of the road. Without a doubt, the sound system is one of the top in the entire industry. I feel very bad for whatever car I get into after this, because it's just not going to sound as good. Doesn't matter what it is, it just won't sound as good. And this infotainment system, it has the wow factor, it has the functionality. It blows me away. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. Wireless CarPlay, got my phone in this slot right here for wireless charging, and Apple CarPlay can run. We have Android Auto. The ambient lighting at night is beautiful, changing the colors, the brightness. In the back, you have plenty of space. This is the Escalade, and this is a volume vehicle in terms of tons of interior volume. In the rear seats, we can slide them, we can collapse them. We have giant entertainment screens sitting right behind my head right now, where I don't know if I mentioned it, there are speakers in the headrest. I have speakers in my headrest, and it's pretty awesome. But behind it, this big video screen with HDMI inputs, so you could plug in a video game console or whatever you want to watch movies on your laptop. And then you can also pass videos between them. And the coolest thing is, let's just say you have a friend in the back or a kid, and they want to go to Starbucks. They can enter and request destination or navigation to that place, and they get sent forward to me in the driver's seat, and you can accept or deny. It's really awesome. Headphones out back. The third row is usable. As an adult, I actually fit back there. I put my seat in the front where I would be comfortable. I put the second row seat, slid it all the way back, had plenty of leg room, was comfortable, and I could still get into the third row. My knees were touching, but I fit. And something like the Audi SQ7, I couldn't. I was just like, this was going to cut my legs off. I could not use it as an adult-sized person. This is doable, but when you have the third row folded up, your cargo space is not as great, but that's why they make the ESV. Automation, you can press buttons. There's a little toggle here for power up and down on the third row seats. The technology is impressive. I mean, I continually discover new things. I've only spent a couple days with this Escalade, and every time I go out and drive it, I'm like, oh, look, we have auto hold. That's always nice. Air suspension, up and down adaptive ride heights, the digital rear view mirror, you flip the tab. This is found in a lot of things, anything from a Corvette C8 to regular Cadillacs and Chevys and things like that. You can change your brightness, but it's always nice to have, for sure. Giant panoramic sunroof. You can tell I can keep going on and on and on about this interior because it is that impressive. In terms of the driving experience, well, it's massive, right? You have the heft, the size. It's essentially a 3-ton vehicle, like 6,000 pounds. And despite the fact that it has magnetic ride dampers, this one actually has a limited slip differential. You're never going to say it handles well. It really just feels most at home land yachting its way down the road in comfort and serene isolation out there. In comparison to competitors, though, I had a lot of people asking me, well, how does it drive compared to maybe X7, or how does it ride compared to a Range Rover? It's a lot bigger. You feel the heft, and it doesn't have that same floaty feeling that a Range Rover air suspension might give you, or just gliding along. It gets close to it, but it's not quite the same. So not as cushy, not as floaty, and it definitely won't handle as well as some of the other vehicles. And I just drove an Audi SQ8 that would run circles around the Cadillac Escalade, but that's not the point. The things that come together with the magnetic ride dampers, the air suspension, the diff out back, it will allow it. You can hustle it through corners and it doesn't feel like you're going to tip over, but no, this is not a nimble performance SUV in any way whatsoever. Again, it feels like you're driving an apartment block down the road. That's where it feels most at home. In terms of driving, I do have a couple of complaints. We just hopped on the freeway now, and we don't have Super Cruise. For some reason, Super Cruise was delayed and won't be available in the Escalades till sometime in 2021. I really wish we had it on this one now, and I could test it out here on the freeway. And then the next one is fuel economy / range. I mean, fuel economy, it is what it is. It's a big, heavy vehicle with a thirsty V8 up front. I've been averaging 11.6 mpg over 80 miles, which is not brilliant. On a full tank, it was showing like 250 miles of range. 250 miles of range is pretty bad. It's rated at higher, and this one just hasn't been driven a nice way to get better fuel economy, a lot of city driving, but that's still not ideal. I'm showing just under 3/4 of a tank, and it says 180 to empty. That's where the turbo diesel becomes really, really interesting, because it makes the same amount of torque, and for a vehicle this size, the torque matters, and it's definitely going to be more efficient, so I really want to try that one out, because I'd like to see a higher range figure. You also have a larger fuel tank on the ESV, but this one is 24 gallons, so that means 250 miles of range on a full tank is, about 10 miles per gallon. In terms of value, this specific Escalade as a Platinum sticker for $109,500. So let's call it a $110,000 SUV. That's a lot of money, but if you look at the segment, a Range Rover Autobiography starts at like $130,000 to get all those top tier options. There are obviously cheaper versions of the Escalade available. You don't have to get the Platinum, but you can also get the ESV. You can load on more options. They get very, very expensive. Now, it's better in many ways than its rivals, but it also loses out in many ways to the rivals. There really aren't many perfect cars in this segment, in the world, really, in this price range, but for that 6-figure price tag, you are getting a $100,000 experience with this Escalade. I mean, nothing wows you like this front OLED display and anything else out there. Like, this is truly amazing. The sound system is just joy to your ears. You're gonna love it. And the presence and the sheer size of this thing, it fits a certain requirement that people want, and I can tell you, you won't be disappointed. They really did step their game up here. I can't say how much I love the sound system and these OLED touchscreens. They are just so cool. Technology is so awesome, and it makes life more enjoyable in this thing. This is the true expression of American luxury. More is always better. And there we go. That's my review of the 2021 Cadillac Escalade Platinum. Make sure you check out the kind of behind the scenes living with an Escalade vlog. Appreciate all the support, and we'll see you guys next video.